You are listening to the Disney Dream Girls, an unofficial Disney Theme Parks podcast, and this is show number 531 for Sunday, the 22nd of December, 2024.
Where dreams begin.
Hello and welcome to this week's Disney Dream Girls. My name is Michelle Young, and together with my jolly good chum Jane Phipps, we are your guides to the place where dreams begin. Well, happy Christmas to everybody. The big day is just a few hours away as I release this week's show, and what better way to celebrate the wonderful time of year that we are having with a Walt Disney World Christmas trip report. So I would like to welcome back to the Disney Dream Girls my very good friend Anthony Markham. Hello, my lovely.
Hello, my dear, and happy Christmas to you.
Happy Christmas. Walt Disney World, you had an amazing trip pre-report earlier on in the month of November, where you were talking about some of the things that you had put in place. So I thought it'd be a great opportunity for us to review some of those and talk through some of the surprises, the things that you loved, what was so amazing about Christmas, what wasn't so as amazing. So let's just start with, how did you get to the wonderful place called Orlando?
Well, we drove down. It's about an 8.5 hour drive. So my boyfriend and I, we left on a Friday evening and arrived at the parks first thing Saturday morning.
That's not too bad then. 8.5 hours. That sounds not too ridiculous.
Yeah, it's not a bad drive, particularly if you're driving overnight when you don't have a lot of traffic. But yeah, it's very manageable.
And remind me, your first hotel was?
We were at Pop for our first 2 days.
Okay, so did you book a standard room or did you have any preferred room or whatever?
We went with a preferred room just for location, for location's sake, near the Skyliner and the main hall.
And you were happy with that?
Yes. Oh, yes, definitely. You know, we went for the refillable mug, so it was nice not having to walk 5 minutes just to refill your mug of soda or whatever in the morning.
Okay. And talking about filling your refillables, how's the refurb going over at Pop Century?
It appears to me like it's progressing pretty well. About half of the shopping area is closed off. It looks like they're about 3/4 of the way done with the cafeteria section. So it seems to me like it's progressed pretty well from when you were there.
Well, let's be honest. When I was there back in August, it was going slower than a snail with asthma.
Gotcha. No, I was like, oh, okay, they're almost done. Yeah. And I don't know if you had a lot of limited availability with food options, but I felt most of the kiosks were open and there was decent selection for everything. So
that's interesting because we had no kiosks open at all. Everything was either order with a cast member or mobile ordering, and they had a big, long, elongated table where you had to go and pick your food up. So there was nowhere you could literally go apart from, where there's the amusement arcade. They converted that to a grab-and-go area. Mm-hmm. And that was it.
Wow. Oh, so much better then.
Yeah. Oh, well, that's a positive. So, as you know, everyone on our podcast, we absolutely adore Pop Century purely because it gives that fantastic access to the Skyliner. And were you able to maximise that with the selection of parks that you chose for those days you were there?
Oh, yes. Our first evening after we had done Animal Kingdom in the morning, we used the Skyliner to access Epcot. And then the next day of our trip, we were at Hollywood Studios during the day and took like a midday break. My boyfriend actually had to go back to the hotel for a little bit and do some work. So that was nice that he could hop on the Skyliner and then Skyline back over and meet me.
It just makes it so convenient if you're at DHS and Epcot. It really does. And getting into International Gateway as well gives you the option of being at the back end of the park rather than having to go all the way through Spaceship Earth and being diverted. Yeah?
Yeah, exactly.
Awesome. What's next then? So tell us a little bit about some of the I don't know, some of the things you did on your first day in the park.
One of the first things we did, well, the first ride, of course, over at Animal Kingdom, you have to go rope drop Pandora. So took him on Flight of Passage. Now, just a reminder, he has not been to Disney World in probably 20 years. So
Wow.
let's just say everything was new for him. So it was nice kind of experiencing that with someone who's not a pro like us. But he enjoyed all the rides that we did that morning. It was fairly cold that day. So the animals probably weren't the most active, like I've seen them in times past. But we hung out at the park till shortly after lunchtime. We went over to Pop and through a miracle, maybe it was a Christmas miracle, I don't know. But our room was ready at like 1 o'clock. So took a little power nap and then headed over to Epcot we had a dining reservation.
Ooh, so where was your first dining reservation?
We had done the candlelight processional dining package.
Oh, we'd spoken about this. This was over at La
Right.
Creperie.
Excellent as always. Actually, he had never had crepes before, so he was thoroughly impressed. And he's like, "Oh, we'll have to find these locally." I said, "Definitely." The cast members, I'm always impressed with the cast members over there. Always so courteous. I had the chicken and mushrooms, I think. One, I can't recall which one he had. Good value, and it saved us so much time because the lines were ridiculous. The narrator for the first 2 days of the Festival of the Holidays was Josh Gad. As you may imagine, he was quite popular, and he was wonderful, very humorous. He would throw in some little elements of Olaf or LeFou every once in a while. But you can just see that he's very passionate about Disney overall, just the way he speaks about the company. So that was nice. We had the middle seating, the middle show.
Okay.
And when we were exiting, the line for reserved seating was beyond Morocco.
Wow. So did you actually have to wait long to ensure that you got a good place in the reserve seating for anyone else who's got an upcoming reservation before the candlelight processionals finish?
We got in line about 20 minutes before we were able to be seated, because I did want a dead-on seat for my photos, but you didn't have to get in line that early. I do feel bad for people who are waiting in standby, because I definitely don't think many standby folks got in for any show.
Wow, that's such a shame, because not everybody wants to pay for some of these dining packages, because the cheaper one, even over at Regal Eagle Smokehouse, is still over $40, and some of them are sort of pushing 3 digits, and especially if there's a group of you, it can get very, very expensive.
Well, and the thing with the Regal Eagle one, you're not even really guaranteed to get it, right? Because it's the day of. You have to walk up.
True, that's a really good point. I forgot about that, because they may not have the availability because they'd sold more than they anticipated with the expensive dining service package. Okay, now your original plan was to leave Epcot, dash for the monorail to go and view Happily Ever After. Did this happen?
It did not.
I'm sorry.
It's okay. I mean, I knew that was quite lofty. Candlelight is about 50 minutes, and then to make it all the way to the front of the park and catch a monorail. So we had already kind of figured out. Plus, we were tired. It was a very long, technically day and a half or 2 days since we had driven through the night. So yeah, just hopped on the Skyliner, went back to the resort. But before Creperie, I did have a lightning lane for Guardians. I have finally ridden it.
No, oh my word. So let's have all the details. What do you think about my favourite attraction?
I think it's also mine. So I'm joining you in that club. That is just so stellar. It's been so long since I've ridden something brand new to me, and you have that sense of wonder. There's just so much happening in the ride. It's like you don't know where to look. I will say I'm so glad that I bought the single pass. That queue line was so long. So I run so far away, is it Flock of Seagulls? I think. I can't remember. But
Absolutely is.
okay. And just so happened that was our only chance to ride it during the week. So I'm glad I
Wow.
had the forethought to go ahead and lock that in.
That's incredibly fortunate. Now, I need to ask you because
Hmm.
I have seen quite a lot of people complaining about other guests' etiquette at this attraction. So, for those of you who have not yet ridden it, I'm not going to
Hmm.
spoil anything, but you
Hmm.
walk through quite an extensive set of switchbacks basically that are beautifully themed, and then
Hmm.
you go into one pre-show, and then if you have ridden the attraction before, a lot of people tend to go to one direction as they go into the next bit, and then some
Hmm.
people have even been known to open the doors before actually
Oh.
seeing the remainder of the pre-show. You know, the final pre-show where there's all the doors to your right. I've seen
Hmm.
people just storm over to that side and literally open the door and just leave before even seeing the pre-show.
Oh my gosh. Wow. I
So,
did see some other unusual guest behavior, but that was that did not happen on that ride, thankfully. That I would have been sorely disappointed at that.
oh well, that's a positive then, because I've
Yes.
seen it myself in August, and then I have seen quite a lot of it on social media where people are literally feeling like they're being trampled as
Hmm.
people sort of push towards that side of the room. But
Hmm.
maybe it's just the odd event of some guests with bad etiquette. Because for me, if I'm waiting 20-25 minutes still to go on this attraction, I want to still make sure I'm getting the entire experience. And let's be honest, if you leave that pre show 5 minutes or 4 minutes behind everyone else, because the attraction goes through quite quickly, you're not really going to be missing out that much anyway.
Hmm. That's true.
Okay, so we've done an Epcot visit. We've been
Yes.
over. Okay, so where's next?
Next day was Hollywood Studios. Your standard rope drop, hit Galaxy's Edge. We did the multipass for that day, which is a pretty good strategy. I would just recommend if you do use that, make sure you don't start your day's plans with too many attractions in the afternoon, just because let's say you make your first one at 10, then you can rebook another attraction, right? But if you can't, like if all your attractions aren't set up until the afternoon, it's you start to lose some of the ability to skip lines if everything's stacked up in the afternoon.
Yeah, I see what you mean.
Yeah, that day I had my we did another dining package.
Hmm.
We did sci-fi, which I had not been to before.
Oh, so, okay, let's split this up then.
Okay.
Decor.
Fantastic. Theming. Fun. Yeah. The food actually was good. I had the vegetarian, no, the vegan burger. I just wanted to try it. And it was very tasty. The boyfriend had he had the brisket burger, but he enjoyed his as well. I've heard middling things about the food there, but we liked ours. And again, we had used it for a guaranteed seat for Fantasmic later on in the day.
Hmm.
I thought it was a little pricey for the package. I looked at that price later versus the price that we had paid for the candlelight, and sci-fi was actually just a little bit more expensive, which is surprising. But you did get a lot of food, I will say that.
Okay. Did you manage to take some fun pictures outside? Because I gather they've got a set piece with the car and a Christmas backdrop.
Yes, I did. I'll have to send those over to you. That that area actually, it seems. Well, this is me inferring because I did not go to Jollywood, but it seems like they're using that little walking path.
Hmm.
You know what I'm talking about, kind of there along the commissary. It seems like they have some setups maybe for some character meets that happen later in the evening. That was my guess.
Yeah, I think they do that as well. Yeah. Okay.
Hmm. We did get to see a couple of the daytime entertainment elements that they've added for the holidays. Um,
Ooh.
they've got think they called it a jazz band. Lots of horns. I think a scaled down version of like the Main Street Orchestra, um, but a little peppier. And they actually had Max out there dancing with them when we saw them. I call it more like a pep band. Big drums, dancers. Reminded me a lot of what you would see at a step show at a college. It was very fun. They had lots of spirit.
Oh, that's fantastic. Was there anything at the studios you'd not seen and done before?
No, that's the one park that really hasn't changed a lot in the past 2.5 years.
Okay.
It's due for some attention.
Yeah, and I think it's going to have it with regards to the closure of Muppets and Monsters Inc. and everything that comes with it. So there's a lot of change ahead for that park, isn't there?
Yes, and it definitely needs it. It definitely needs it.
And that's what we've got to keep reminding ourselves of. It definitely needs it. As much as we are, as Disney fans, gutted that we're going to lose the Muppets 3D and the whole area around there, the former Muppet store, the Miss Piggy fountain, maybe not so much Pizzeria, but we're going to lose all of that area. We've got to think that let's just wait and see what happens, because I know the Henson Company are quite precious with the Muppets 3D because it was the last project Jim Henson worked on. And FYI, if you've not seen the documentary on Disney Plus, it is well worth investing the time to have the entire Jim Henson story. It was a fabulous watch. Yeah, so let's see what's going to happen, because they could put Muppets 3D somewhere else, maybe.
Oh, yes, we later when we were joined by some friends for the rest of our trip, like we spent, a solid 20 minutes talking about what we could see happening.
Ooh, so what was your consensus then?
Well, okay, obviously the Electric Mayhem are going to take over the space of Rock and Roller Coaster,
Mm-hmm.
which I am fine with.
I think it's an easy makeover.
Right. It's fun. It keeps the Muppets more relevant for, a more a thrill seeking generation.
Mm-hmm.
You and I, we've had Muppets in our lives for 40, maybe even 50 years.
Yeah.
So, but it's how are you going to get these next Disney fans interested in it? Okay, let's have them in a more dynamic attraction. So obviously the villain show is going to happen at the current Racing Academy, right?
Yeah.
Well, then what happens after that? I mean, I feel like the villain show will be out of place once Villains Land opens. Why can't the Muppets have either the 3D movie or heck, even like a stage show? That would be fun. In the Racing Academy space.
That would work.
Yeah,
It's a big enough space.
exactly. I just thought that would be a good use of the space and make it, they could move the fountain too, have it be its own little mini land. It's just the Muppet stuff.
Well, we shall wait and see with our bated breath. Did you partake in any food and beverage while you were in Hollywood Studios?
Not that first day, but the second day we were there with our bigger group, we did score an Oga's reservation after hours for some lovely pictures.
Nice. What, did you manage to have just alcoholic beverages, or did you try any of their bar food?
We tried basically it's like a bread that's stuffed with it reminds me of pub cheese, but I forget the Star Wars name for it. It was delicious, I must say. And we tried a couple of the new alcoholic beverages
Mm-hmm.
that they have as well. And those were very good. The staff there is the entertainment. We had some really great bartenders during our stay there. So that was fun. I even recognized them from part of the opening crew when I used to go to Galaxy's Edge shortly after it opened.
Wow. And I'll just digress for a moment there that, it's the cast that make Disney so magical and so wonderful, whether it is just from, the parade performers to characters to janitorial to wait staff to everybody who makes the magic happen, even, in the stores and everything. I know there's been of late some very bad guest behaviour towards cast members, including the alleged calling out of a performer's actual real off-screen name.
Oh my gosh.
You've not heard about Tallygate?
No.
So, in the parade, there is an amazing elf who goes into those who are waiting up and down the parade route and asks them for their name and see whether they're on the naughty and nice list. And this character has really struck a chord. Somebody has found out their real name and thought it was totally acceptable to shout it out to them in a parade.
Oh my gosh. People just have no couth.
Not good. Anyway, I'm digressing. Hollywood Studios, totally adore it. Lots of opportunities for yumskis. And you went to Hollywood Brown Derby as well, I believe?
Yes, we just ate at the lounge. So we had some snacks and of course had the wonderful margarita flight or the martini flight. Always a nice thing to be able to do a walk up there. And not break the bank quite as bad.
Yeah, it can get a little bit pricey.
It can. And other big things from there. Fantasmic was wonderful, of course. I hadn't seen it since they made the updates. So, yeah. And actually, that was among one of Cheston's highlights. That's the boyfriend. Yeah, that was one of his favorite things that we did was Fantasmic.
Oh, that's so good.
Yeah. I think he liked that it incorporated so much across the Disney spectrum, So he really enjoyed that.
Oh, I must admit, it is always well worth sitting out or paying for the dining package just to be able to have it, because it's an amazing little show that they do.
I think sometimes people, like us Disney veterans, are like, oh, it's better in Disneyland, so they kind of scoff at it in Disney World, but it's still a great show. And for someone like a less involved fan, it's still a wonderful experience.
Oh, absolutely. And, the good thing is about Walt Disney World and Disneyland, it's always nice to be able to go to the other and have a slightly different experience.
Exactly.
Makes me so happy. Anyway, my love, we were talking about Hollywood Studios. Okay, I gather by now you're getting ready to up sticks and use the DVC element of your trip. So can you just tell us a little bit how you decided to book the DVC? Do you have DVC or did you use a rental company?
I used a rental company. Originally, when the trip was being planned over a year ago, it was going to be an occasion for me and some of my Disney friends to get together.
Mm-hmm.
And we had all used DVC rentals in the past. And so we thought, hey, let's try to do something a little bit fancier and all stay together. And we were all fans of Animal Kingdom Lodge. So we secured a reservation there. We had a 2-bedroom suite, which actually could sleep up to 9 people.
Wow.
Massive space. And we were over at Kidani, which turns out there is quite a bit of renovation going on there. So some of the animal viewing areas were kind of sectioned off. Now we could still see animals. It wasn't like there were none around, but it was like, oh, here's a scaffold. Okay, let me go down to the next viewing station, and that one's open. We didn't have a Savannah room, so it's not like it affected that portion of but it's just like, oh, a little sad. From what I understand, there's going to be some closures coming that will affect some of the restaurants there, but they were all still open while we stayed there. And we did sample Boma one morning for breakfast.
And what did you think about Boma? Because it's a very polarizing place, because some people love it for its originality, different style of foods, and some people think, oh, I just want my eggs and bacon and I don't want it messed around with.
Now, all of us, we're foodies, we're adventurous, so we loved it. And of course, you you cannot beat the staff there. That's
Hmm.
another resort that really has some wonderful cast members. They're telling you about their homes and the countries they come from. Um, and so our particular cast member, she was giving us, like different recommendations, her favorite things. So of course we made it a point to try all that. So that was a nice brunch, and we did that actually on a day that we had planned to just kind of take it easy and enjoy our resort and go see Christmas decorations at some of the other resorts, which was fantastic.
Hmm.
You, if you're at Walt Disney World during the holiday season, you need to dedicate a day for that, in my opinion, if you can.
So let's talk a little bit about the highlights for Christmas and some of the things that make it so magical to be able to be in Walt Disney World at this time of year.
Well, of course, we've already talked about Candlelight Processional, but Epcot is just a wonderful place to be during the holidays overall. Independent of that, you've got all your storytellers in the different country pavilions, the decorations, of course. Okay, Michelle, what's your favorite park decor wise for the
Oh
holidays?
gosh. Well, it's really difficult because parts of the Magic Kingdom are spectacular, and then other parts, it's like, oh, did they not get the memo? It's looking a bit
Yes.
dull here. Um,
Hmm.
I think Animal Kingdom doesn't really do a great deal for it. Hollywood Studios on a night, spectacular. You've got the focal point of the tree, the mirror glaze of the lake, and obviously Goethe. Hello. So I
Yes.
think Hollywood Studios does look amazing. So I don't know. Probably, oh, part of Hollywood Studios mashed in with a little bit of Epcot with some Magic Kingdomness.
Perfect non-committal answer. I love it.
Absolutely.
But you did not mention over at Hollywood Studios the Sunset Seasons greetings down Sunset Boulevard with the projections on Tower of Terror.
That is sensational, isn't it?
It truly is. You can spend a good 15 minutes there just watching the different uh, miniature shows as they scroll.
Yeah. And I did. I'm very sad when I was there.
Mm.
I completely did the whole thing and really, really enjoyed it.
Hmm. Now, Magic Kingdom.
Okay.
I don't know. The the Main Street area is just not as I, I can't put my finger on it, but it just didn't seem as festive to me this year. Maybe it's because we didn't spend as much time in Magic Kingdom. We only
Hmm.
had one night really where we could see it. And let's face it, most of your Christmas decor in Magic Kingdom looks better at night. Maybe that's part of it. The projection on the castle are nice, but it does make me miss the icicle lights a little bit. And maybe part of it too is we had kind of touched on it a little bit earlier. I did have some moments when I was kind of appalled by other guest behavior.
Oh
And
no. Share.
uh,
Why?
well, and unfortunately, it was in Magic Kingdom. I guess on non-party nights, it tends to be super crowded because you don't have a lot of chances to see fireworks. I understand that. I saw multiple people hop inside the little garden areas in the hub just to get better viewpoints for the fireworks and the little stage shows for when Olaf and Elsa come out and they light the castle or whatever. I was like, you've got to be kidding me. That's a iron fence you just hopped over.
Some people
Uh,
have no class.
so yeah, I guess that's a little bit why I won't say I'm down on Magic Kingdom, but I'm just a little less enthused. Um,
Oh.
Unfortunately, we had also had some issues with Tiana's the day that we were in the parks, in that park all day. Yeah, Tiana's was open maybe an hour out of that whole day.
Wow.
She was having some issues.
She's having a lot of issues.
Yes, but later I did get to ride it, so we'll get to that in a minute. We did see Jingle Cruise, which is always fun.
Hmm.
And we did get to ride that at night, and that's a bit more fun, I think, in the evening, at least for the Christmas lights, although you can't really see the animals. A good skipper there. The Dapper Dans caught one of their performances, and they, of course, in their peppermint stripe outfits. I did get to do Tron. It has nothing to do with Christmas, but I did get to do it at night, which was awesome. We can skip to another day. I got a virtual queue for a couple days later in the trip for Tiana's, and I did get called, and so I did get to go over and ride it. I enjoyed it. I'm going to preface this by saying I was never a Splash Mountain fan anyway. I would do it probably every 5 trips or so, but that's just because I'm not a fan of getting wet while I'm in the theme park. I feel Tiana was a good update for the area, but that style of attraction is never going to be my favorite. I liked the story that they did invent for the ride. The animatronics are impressive. I just don't see how it really fits into a water ride. I think it could have just been any, dark ride through attraction like Haunted Mansion. If you could have fit that story into something similar, I thought that would probably be better. But that's for me.
Okay. Well, everyone is entitled to their own opinion on what they feel would work and what would not work. And I do know, you don't have the bias that I have because you didn't hold Splash Mountain so highly. But you do have the I love Tiana bias.
I do love Tiana, yes.
She your princess. So we've not mentioned a great deal about the food over at Epcot. Did you partake in a Festival of the Holidays munchies?
I had a couple of the cookies on the cookie stroll. I didn't go quite as in depth with all of my food sampling as I typically would have. I hit favorites from years past. Like I had the latkes from the L'Chaim booth. Had some popcorn in Canada. Lots of alcoholic beverages, but that's the perks of an adults only trip. Yeah, that's about it, Michelle.
Well, do you know what? I personally feel that the price point for some of these festival foods is getting to the point now where it's like, am I going to pay for it? Because some of them are toppling around $10 and the portion sizes is quite poor. But that's just my opinion. Did you manage to go and visit any hotels to have a look at their beautiful festive decorations?
Well, yes. On our off day, we did a monorail crawl. So we were able to check off Grand Floridian, Polynesian. I just blanked. Oh, Contemporary, of course. Their wonderful gingerbread displays. On one day when Cheston needed to go back to the hotel and work, I took a stroll from Hollywood Studios over to the Crescent Lake area and checked out the wonderful carousel. Oh, the Boardwalk Deli that they've recreated this year. It was nice to see that one back. I think this is the first year they've had that one back. Is that right?
I believe so, yes. And did you enjoy?
Oh, yes. I mean, that's another highlight is being able to see all the beautiful decorations. And I think probably my favorite, though, was actually over at Animal Kingdom Lodge over at Jumbo House. The gingerbread giraffe. I try to say that quickly. Seeing that this year, that was amazing. And he's got 2 friends. He's got a flamingo and a zebra this year.
How adorable. And it is so lovely that they utilise these to feed the bees afterwards. So it's a win-win situation. You get to feast your eyes on them and the wildlife gets to feast their stomachs on them.
Yes.
Is there anything at all that we have not yet covered?
A comment about the Lightning Lane, the new system. I was worried about figuring out how to navigate it. It's really not difficult.
And you paid for the $30 one. How much did it work out a day roughly?
It was close to 30 per day. We were going at a busier time of year, so by the time you factor in taxes, I do think it was slightly over 30. Now we just did it for Magic Kingdom and for Hollywood Studios. We didn't feel it was necessary for Epcot or Animal Kingdom.
No, and I totally agree with that. That's complete sense to me. So well done on that one there, sir.
Thank you.
Okay. Would you go back at this time of year again? Because I know you've had a few trips at this time. Is it something you'd look to do again next December? Or would you perhaps be considering something different?
I will still always go at the holiday season. I'm such a Christmas person. And because the flip side of that is crowds. Crowds will just continue to build throughout the month. So I will always go the first week of December if I can.
That sounds absolutely top tip. We will see and look forward to next year's trip report from you there. Have you any more future Disney travel booked?
Well, since I did upgrade to an annual pass, there will be some more over the course of the year.
Yay!
Currently looking at something to visit for Festival of the Arts. You'll understand as when I say this that Mary Poppins herself, well, not Julie Andrews, but Broadway performer Ashley Brown, who originated in Mary Poppins on stage. She's going to be one of the featured artists, so I have to see her.
It's on your must-do list.
Details TBD, but it's going to happen.
Okay, everyone, if you want to reach out to Anthony to talk about his wonderful Disney World trip, where can they find you on the old Instagram?
It's ATrain74.
Absolutely fantastic. And as always, you can find us at Diz Dream Girls. And we are quite present there over on the old Instagram. I will be sending bits and pieces from my trip to California and my Christmas with a slightly nautical feel. Anyway, until next time, it's a goodbye from me.
And goodbye from me.